Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Exodus, the 29th chapter. And this is dealing with the consecration of Aaron and his sons, the actual ritual for making them, purifying them, cleansing them, and making them ready to take over that office. So this is Exodus 29:1. And this is the thing that thou shalt do unto them, to hallow them, to minister unto me in the priest's office. And when you hallow them, let's actually go into that word hallow. But basically, when you hallow them, you make them, holy. Okay, to consecrate, sanctify, prepare, dedicate, to be holy. Okay. So in order to make them holy, this is the ritual that they had to go through. Take one young bullock and 2 rams without blemish, meaning no defects, and unleavened bread, and cakes unleavened, tempered or mingled with oil, and wafers unleavened, anointed with oil. Pour that oil on it. Of wheaten flour shalt thou make them. So of wheat flour. And thou shalt put them into one basket, and bring them in the basket with the bullock and the 2 rams. And Aaron and his sons thou shalt bring unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and shalt wash them with water. So remember, right back to the little diagram, that's basically, likely would be happening in the court, okay, right close to the either this entrance or the entrance of the actual tabernacle. But I think it would probably be more closer to this entrance, considering the altar is also closer there, and so was the laver or the basin of water. So as it says here, and you're gonna wash them with water, and this is likely it's like a purification ritual, right? So it's not like you're gonna completely shower them, but there's certain parts like their hands, their feet, maybe their head. And thou shalt take the garments, the ones that were made in the 28th chapter, or were described in the 28th chapter, and put upon Aaron the coat, which is that tunic, and the robe of the ephod. So right here, so you have the coat all the way, first layer, then the robe, the blue, on top of that, of the ephod, and then the actual ephod itself, and the breastplate, and gird him with the curious girdle of the ephod. And that's that part right there. And thou shalt put the mitre upon his head, and put the holy crown upon the mitre. And that's what basically the front part that's engraved with that saying, holiness to the Lord. Then shalt thou take the anointing oil and pour it upon his head and anoint him. So once again, I mean, this points towards there possibly being some space at the top so that you could actually anoint his head, or else you just be pouring the oil on top of the mitre. Cool. It says, or take off the mitre, anoint and put it back on. It doesn't really specify. But long story short, make sure he's anointed. And thou shalt bring his sons and put coats upon them, because they also had garments made for them. And thou shalt gird them with girdles, Aaron and his sons, and put the bonnets on them, and the priest's office shall be theirs for a perpetual statute. And thou shalt consecrate Aaron and his sons. And thou shalt cause a bullock to be brought before the tabernacle of the congregation. And Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the bullock. And thou shalt kill the bullock before the Lord Yahweh by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And thou shalt take of the blood of the bullock, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger. So when they slay the bullock, they would, you know, catch the blood in one of the basins, and then, as it says, put a portion, of the blood. You dip your fingers in it and put it on the horns of the altar. See, there you go. So the four corners right there of the altar. Um, where we at? Beside the bottom of the altar. Oh, as it says here, and put it upon the horns of the altar with thy finger, and pour all the blood beside the bottom of the altar. So once you've basically dipped the blood on the horns, you pour the rest out at the bottom of the altar. And thou shalt take all the fat that covereth the inwards, and the caul that is above the liver, and the two kidneys, and the fat that is upon them, and burn them upon the altar. So this is going into the caul and the liver, and basically the insides of the animal, certain parts, including the kidney and the fat, and you'd burn that on the altar. But the flesh of the bullock and his skin and his dung shalt thou burn with fire without the camp. It is a sin offering, so that part will not be eaten. It would be, and it wouldn't be burnt on the altar. It would be taken outside to, somewhere far and then burnt over there. Thou shalt also take one ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. And thou shalt slay the ram, and thou shalt take his blood, and sprinkle it round about upon the altar. So this time, the blood is not going on the horns of the altar, but Moses will walk around and sprinkle the blood upon the altar. Now, he might dip his finger in there and sprinkle, or he might just be pouring, in a sprinkling fashion out of that basin. Verse 17, and thou shalt cut the ram in pieces, and wash the inwards of him and his legs, and put them onto his pieces and onto his head. And I'll read this in the NKJV, but it's basically saying, you chop the ram up in pieces, you wash it, clean it, and then put the legs and the inwards next to the other pieces that were chopped up. So the NKJV, then you shall cut the ram in pieces, wash its entrails, so its insides, and its legs, and put them with its pieces and its head. And thou shalt burn the whole ram upon the altar. It is a burnt offering unto the Lord Yahweh. It is a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. This is why you needed those pans for the ashes, because burnt offerings you would burn, as it says, the animal. Verse 19, and thou shalt take the other ram, and Aaron and his sons shall put their hands upon the head of the ram. Then shalt thou kill the ram, and take of his blood, and put it on the tip of the right ear of Aaron, and upon the tip of the right ear of his sons, and upon the thumb of the right hand, and upon the great toe of their right foot, and sprinkle the blood upon the altar round about. See that? So that's the ritual right there. The whole entire part of is the ritual of purification in sanctifying Aaron and his sons for this office. And thou shalt take of, and that right ear, it's the earlobe, right? More than likely the earlobe right there, as it says, the tip of the right ear and his sons. And thou shalt take of the blood that is upon the altar, and of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it upon Aaron, and upon his garments, and upon his sons, and upon the garments of his sons with him. And he shall be hallowed, and his garments, and his sons garments with him. Also thou shalt take of the ram the fat and the rump, and the rump is like the tail area. So let's see, ram, rump. No, whoa. Ram, rump. Lord have mercy. Okay. Rump piece of, there you go. So this is an example right here, that part. Okay. So as it says here, and thou shalt take of the ram the fat and the rump and the fat that covereth the inwards and the caul. Because when you open up the animal, if you cook, you'll notice that depending on the animal it is, if it's certain animals, they have fat on them, so you gotta separate the fat from the different parts of it, right? Sometimes like some cuts of like beef or something, or you'll see the white part on it, which is the fat, and sometimes it's a lot, and you got to separate it. So here the Lord says, you're going to take the fat that's covering the inwards and the caul above the liver and the two kidneys and the fat that is upon them and the right shoulder, for it is a ram of consecration. Now, when you go into the word shoulder over here, I believe it goes into the word leg or thigh, okay? Because really, when you look at a ram, when you think of a human being, you look at the shoulder as your top front part, right? But really, when you look at a ram, all of its parts are legs, right? Leg, 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 leg. Okay, so you have a similar cut here and, somewhat similar over here. So when it says shoulder, and you go into it, it's leg. But in any case, that's another part that, as it says, as the Lord commanded Moses, the right shoulder, for it is a ram of consecration. And that would likely be this piece here. And one loaf of bread, and one cake of oiled bread, and one wafer out of the basket of the unleavened bread that is before the Lord. And thou shalt put all in the hands of Aaron, so that the piece, the wafer, the cake, all of it in his hand, and in the hands of his sons, and shall wave them for a wave offering before the Lord. And that's exactly what a wave offering is. You're actually waving it. So imagine, using your hand, maybe you got palm up with the stuff in their hand, and then they're moving their arms from like left to right and right to left. So you're actually waving it. That's a wave offering before the Lord. And thou shalt receive them in their hands, or of their hands. So after that, Moses would take it up back from them and burn them upon the altar for a burnt offering, for a sweet savor unto the Lord Yahweh. It is an offering made by fire unto the Lord. And thou shalt take the breast of the ram of Aaron's consecration, and wave it for a wave offering before the Lord Yahweh, and it shall be thy part. So basically, you're going to take that part of the ram that was used for sanctifying Aaron. You're going to perform a wave offering with it, and then it'll be yours. Right? As it says, it'll be your portion, then keep it as your own portion, or it will be your share. And, the share that was given either to Moses or the priests, they would eat it because it would be theirs. And as we keep reading, the Lord will also mention which parts, as a statute, would belong to Aaron and his sons when the children of Israel would come to offer either one of these types of offerings. Verse 27, and thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering and the shoulder of the heave offering. Now the heave offering is similar but different. The wave offering, you're waving, right, in the motion of your hands. The heave offering is more of a lift, so you're lifting it up, okay, and then down. So that's more of the heave offering. It's really in the motion in which you are moving your hand, say, while you're holding the offering or the piece. It says, and thou shalt sanctify the breast of the wave offering and the shoulder of the heave offering, which is waved and which is heaved up, of the ram of the consecration, even of that which is for Aaron and of that which is for his sons. So basically you would set them aside because they will be for Aaron and for his sons. And it shall be Aaron's and his sons by a statute forever from the children of Israel. So this would be the part of the offering that would go to Aaron and his sons. For it is an heave offering, and it shall be an heave offering from the children of Israel of the sacrifice of their peace offerings, even their heave offering unto the Lord. So when they come to sacrifice their peace offerings, the portion that would be used for the heave offering would go to Aaron and his sons. Okay, and that would be a statute continuously in their generations. And the holy garments of Aaron shall be his sons after him, to be anointed therein, and to be consecrated in them. So it would belong to Aaron and his descendants. And that son that is priest in his stead, so the high priest, shall put them on 7 days, when he cometh in the tabernacle of the congregation to minister in the holy place, to basically perform his duty. And thou shalt take the ram of the consecration and seethe his flesh in the holy place. So you're going to boil it. And Aaron and his sons shall eat the flesh of the ram and the bread that is in the basket by the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. And they shall eat those things wherein the atonement was made, to consecrate and to sanctify them, so the portion that would be set aside for them. But a stranger shall not eat thereof, because they are holy. And when you go into this word stranger, I believe it's is it zawar? Yeah, zawar, and it says basically a stranger, right? To become estranged, foreigner, alienated. But in this context, it's really saying nobody else, right? Nobody else is allowed to eat of it because it is holy. So it's only for Aaron and his sons, the priests, because they're the ones who have been sanctified to be able to eat of that. So an Israelite that is not of this, that has not been consecrated, that is not of this line, they can't eat it. Okay. If aught of the flesh of the consecrations or of the bread remain unto the morning, then thou shalt burn the remainder with fire. It shall not be eaten, because it is holy. So you eat it that day or that night, but anything that remains until the next morning, it needs to be burned, and it's not going to be eaten. And thus shalt thou do unto Aaron and to his sons, according to all things which I have commanded thee. 7 days shalt thou consecrate them. So this ritual was to last for 7 days, in which Moses would be performing the sacrifice and consecrating Aaron and his sons. And thou shalt offer every day a bullock for a sin offering, for atonement, and thou shalt cleanse the altar when thou hast made an atonement for it, and thou shalt anoint it to sanctify it. 7 days thou shalt make an atonement for the altar and sanctify it, and it shall be an altar most holy. Whatsoever toucheth the altar shall be holy. Now this is that which thou shalt offer upon the altar. Now it goes into the ordinance of the altar. 2 lambs of the first year, day by day continually, and this is a daily sacrifice. And this you read in even other precepts, right, that are more into the future of this time. The daily sacrifice, which you have the morning oblation, which is this, or the morning offering. The 1 lamb thou shalt offer in the morning, and the other lamb thou shalt offer at even, right? So you have the morning oblation and then the evening oblation. And I think even in the book of Ezra, he makes reference to that. Or even if you just type evening, let's see, oblation. Okay, there's one here in Daniel. Yea, whilst I was speaking in prayer, even the man Gabriel, whom I had seen in the vision at the beginning, being caused to fly swiftly, touched me about the time of the evening oblation. And let's see what we have here for morning. Okay, looks like there isn't a morning oblation, but I mean there is, but there's no, it's not worded as such. But there you go, right? So that was this was the setting of that ordinance. And with the 1 lamb, a 10th deal of flour mingled with the 4th part of an hin of beaten oil. So you would coat it in that flour and oil, and the 4th part of an hin of wine for a drink offering. And the other lamb thou shalt offer at even. So this was what the offering would look like for the morning oblation, and the other lamb, which will be offered in the evening, shalt thou and shalt do thereto according to the meat offering of the morning. So it'd be the same thing, right? That tenth deal of flour mingled with a fourth part of an hin of beaten oil, and a drink offering. And according to the drink offering thereof, for a sweet savor, an offering made by fire unto the Lord. This shall be a continual burnt offering throughout your generations, at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation before the Lord, where I will meet you to speak there unto you, because that was where the altar was. So that's where they would perform the sacrifice. And here you can see the different utensils and so on. And there, verse 43, and there I will meet with the children of Israel, and the tabernacle shall be sanctified by my glory. So when the Lord's presence will come down, it would be, in the tabernacle or right there to sanctify it, right, to make it holy. And I will sanctify the tabernacle of the congregation and the altar. I will sanctify also both Aaron and his sons to minister to me in the priest's office. So the things we read above were a prerequisite to this. Verse 45, and I will dwell among the children of Israel and will be their God, and they shall know that I am the Lord Yahweh their God, that brought them forth out of the land of Egypt, that I may dwell among them. I am the Lord Yahweh their God. And that brings us to the end of the book of Exodus, the 29th chapter. Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Recha Kodash. Until next time, Shalom.